putting in ourselves. It's,
What the other culverts, we got a good stock.
we have stock of regular culverts of 36 inch and smaller, bigger ones we don't keep on hand. I asked Ryan.
We get to listen to your twice.
Yeah. Bad enough you have to listen to me once.
I was watching
Okay.
a tractor and air drill going down the township road. And I know there's a 20-foot bridge out there, so like, how big is this equipment gonna get? I mean, this stuff just isn't animal.
No, well, it's, look at our bridge system when it was all built, everyone's driving around with
Single
what's
axle.
basically considered pickups these days. And when you look at my grandfather's old 42 Ford truck, it was
Yeah.
not much bigger than some of today's pickups. Some of today's pickups can probably hold as much, carry as much. And then we're running with tandems and singles and more semis, and they're just, with the higher speeds, it happens.
Mr. Chairman, you weren't at the water board this meeting, but we talked about it a couple weeks ago and they brought it up again this morning. Seems to be they're getting a lot more complaints down there with people running amok with their backhoes and cleaning ditches this year. And they want to work with us as commissioners on right of ways, even the townships and everything, and stop it. It's causing a lot of trouble, a lot of complaints, and water's going elsewhere. So I would say in the near future, there's gonna be discussion on, you better have permission before you dig in our right of way. The water board decides. Well, they're supposed to, but
They're supposed to.
but in the town, and face it, there's running amok in the township ditches, and we gotta get the townships guys to get on board too and say, you know what? It's time. If you wanna, you call us. And we're not saying no, there can't be digging, but we wanna know when you're in our right of ways. But some of it's happened, it's gone really wild, and I'm not blaming anybody, but it sounds like furthermore west.
It's on.
And they came down here and they came faster to us and caused a lot of troubles. So they're gonna look at it. It's coming. I guess I don't blame them.
So we can get to the Conner Road too.
Coming. We haven't opened.
It's open all the way.
Well, most of it, not, there's still parts that are underwater.
Underwater
Yeah,
still?
the Schuster Bridge and I believe the Rasmussen is still under, we haven't been out to look at the Rasmussen yet this week. But from most of the stretch on County 2 is open except for those low spots. The two bridges, the rest of it's pretty much open. I have a price from our guys when open it all up, make sure we get traffic down through it. Got a price from Gowan to go out and take a look at just pulling up the shoulders and different things. And what they gave us a price, I had Triple D working on a price, and then we'll see if what their price is from my talking with Ryan, and we just don't mobilize all of our equipment, don't go out there and do it ourselves. Right now, with the price we have received, we'll be mobilizing our equipment out there. So.
Mr. Chairman, now that you bring that up, any FEMA money coming back, townships and stuff from last year?
We've had 2 checks come in so far.
That's all.
That's it.
Cause I've been asked by the township guys where the money is, and I said, well,
We've had 2 checks come in and they both came in last week.
any idea when the rest is going? Have they kept you in touch? No. Okay.
One of the first conferences to be done, we haven't received that one. So one of the first ones that was sent in, we haven't seen the checks for. One of the other ones that was towards the middle, or to the end, is just there. They're actually reviewing our 22 flood for the county's damages right now. So I'm still dealing with last year's 2022 while we have 2023 here facing us. So right now we're at 42 sites repaired for the year, in this year.
I was just driving on County Road 8 heading north the other day, and I feel like it looks like half the road and gravel is in the ditch on the east side of the road. I mean, is that pretty much lost? This would be where it was washed out over by Dean Campbell's. There's nothing we can do to,
We're still planning to get out there and try and get some of it.
but I just couldn't believe how much gravel was in the ditch.
It's too wet when we were out there to bring it up along the road, it creates issues. Now, the problem that we run into is when we get to the stage, we really can only get it with the Bobcat.
Yeah.
Or the main excavator or the excavator. So we only have 3 pieces of equipment and 2 of them are tied up with the bridge crew at all times. We only have the one skid steer. So we need to dry up a little bit. Now breaks in the grass and see if we can get to it before it gets full of grass. Otherwise, we might just be reclaiming it into a truck and hauling it back and putting it in different stockpiles we can use as a packing base or something later on. So we have multiple sites out there like that, where we had the overtops with gravel. Number 6, you'll see that if you go north of town. We still have some of it from last year on County 6, just north of Forest River, a little bit from this year. On 19.
19 's horrible.
So, no, it's 19 is half that road bed is, or road top surface was in the ditch for the last 2 years. So.
All the other roads in good shape, open and.
We're open, we're coming, County 19 by Forest River has pretty much been 1 lane for a while, trying to get it to dry out a little bit more, so you get some packing blade, the guys were out there this week, it's coming. That's some work to go, but it's coming. Other than that, we really don't have anything.
I drove it yesterday, it wasn't too bad for what it looked like happened. I
Mhm.
couldn't believe what the shape it was, so, and they were hauling gravel and doing some work there, so.
They were planning on that and 4, so, down on the flats, working on those this week. Those were their 2 primary focuses. And then depending on the pricing we get from contractors, we'll see if we're mobilizing everybody else to 2 next week. We'll get gravel out there for sure. Right now I'm looking at just having, Jim Thompson as who won the bid as our contractor to gravel 2, so we can focus on other things. They're here and contracted, so we might as well put them to use. The load limits are still on yet. The state isn't looking at taking them off for probably at least a week, maybe 2. I heard one person was out, investigating. And when they're out there, their excavator, all they found was frozen ground in the roadbed. There was the culvert, there was no culvert actually there. It must have just been huge gopher den underneath that finally gave out. It sounds like a dropped into the hole, so.
They're starting to show up, those holes.
Show up. And it's weird how those holes really start to show up more like 2 weeks after the flooding than anything else. So just people have to be vigilant, let us know, we'll try to get to as fast as we can, so. Well, next on my agenda is I have 4 invoices from the Welch County Water Resource District that I had submitted to you. These are, I'm not sure how, but they're past bills that they've had sitting on their desks since last year. One is for $6,880.95 for a project on Drain 71. One's on County Road 4, part of a drain project for $12,000 and Drain 28. Another one on Drain 31 for $16,871.11. And one for the big hitter on Drain 87. I know at one point there was talk about us paying $250,000 or half of it until we were trying to find some information. And Ernie and I were talking, they should be brought up and paid. Right now I have money to pay that $250,000. Or 250 or 270,000, I couldn't.
270, I think was the original.
Yeah. But I think the 270, I have the money for that 270 and these others I can take out of House Bill 1505 funds, so I can get them covered. But I don't know how long I'll have that money, so.
Mr. Chairman, why are we getting bills from November of 2020 now?
Apparently it was all part of conflicts between how they're being paid.
Well, the last time we had this discussion, I stated that we need Kelly Cole in on this conversation, and now it's being brought back to us again, and we still don't have Kelly Cole here. Why don't we have our state attorney here giving us direction on this when she was originally the one that gave us the direction to hold up on paying? I guess that's my concern, like, why are we not working with Kelly on this?
Mr. Chairman, yeah. They are working with Kelly. Dan, Gospin and Kelly are corresponding now finally. So same old, we don't know what to do. And I told the water board, I said, we're sort of working on the direction of Kelly. And we were advised to hold, but the 270 we should pay, and the rest of this, I think we should wait, because it goes back to that Century Code legislation or whatever. Now, he apparently said and I asked Danny for the letter, there apparently got some legislation or whatever decided on the two water boards and how they're gonna join the Century Codes, so they're the same. So I would say maybe hold off on these smaller ones that are later, pay the 270 and then wait and see whatever legislation they tell us. And then decide on that rest of that bill and these, which is Kelly's looking at apparently with Dan. So they're moving forward, and like they said, they just wanna work together on it. And I said, I'm more than willing to work on it, but I said, we're under the direction of Kelly. So they know that's why we're holding back, is we're listening to her, basically. So in response to these, I would pay that 270 that I thought we already paid, we didn't, and then just hold back on these. I don't know how many of them there that were, like you said, in 2020 or whatever. Because that apparently goes back to that old, they're bringing it back to the maintenance ruling or whatever they're arguing about. That's my opinion, isn't it yours?
Yeah, I'm still not 100% on what's happened.
Right.
I can just go off of what my interpretations of what the Century Code were at that point compared to what they're going to be. I'm not a lawyer, I don't know all those type of things, but I don't know too many times where, because the law is updated, the prior law didn't take effect. I don't know. I just was asked to bring these back in and.
You look at the Century Code and even our county right away, from the county we got. I get sort of mixed emotions, or not emotions, ideas when I read that. Should we pay it or shouldn't we? Sometimes if you read and looks at it, it almost says we were supposed to be doing some of this, but yet we weren't. So I don't know where the fluctuation is. Because when you read it, and I asked Jason that one time, I said, boy, when you read this, it almost looks like we should have been doing this. But yet, because we weren't doing it before, that's the crux of the whole deal. So hopefully they can get something settled here.
But has Kelly actually ruled on?
Well, that's how many times, and when I talked to her last time, she almost said to the point she was getting sick of it, and I said, well, she was dragging her feet or something, and I said, we gotta get it settled. This has to, now that this legislation comes out, I hope they can move forward and come to some kind of agreement or whatever.
But as of right now, they have.
No, last meeting, Danny Goss was there, they're a water board's lawyer, and he was adapting and looking at this legislation and talking, and gonna talk to Kelly and get the ball moving. That's all I can give you. They didn't talk about anything this morning, so.
Mr. Chairman, I mean, we've had Dan Gostin here, water board members here, we've discussed this at least 2 meetings, if not 3. And I guess, in my opinion, I feel this comes back to us when Kelly's here with, the backstory that she can provide us from before Jason and how that went, and her suggestion going forward and her advice for us. I mean, beyond that, that's a lot of money for us to, and it sounds like we should pay it, but I just don't think it's on emotion. We need to have all of that information collected, and I think it should come from our state's attorney.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I do know that we made a motion to pay
Yeah.
that 270,000 contingent on Kelly Cole. She was going to look at, I'm not saying on Kelly, but Kelly was going to review something, and then I didn't have the minutes to go back to. I can't, if I would have had a set of the minutes, I could have looked it up last night, but I didn't have them. But I know that was done probably within the last 6 months or so. Do you guys remember when we were brought in here? So we did make a motion to pay that. So my concern is these bills now that are being brought in, I don't know if this is part of that, or if this is new, or what this is. So I'm just not comfortable, I guess. It's not that I don't want to pay the bills. I think, yes, you pay your bills when your bills are due, but I need direction from Kelly, like you said. We need direction from Kelly on what we should be doing here, because is this part of the 270 or is it not? I don't know.
My understanding is that this is sort of after the fact of that ruling after the 270. Because they should have shown up right away if it wasn't. And all of a sudden after that additional on the 270, these started popping up. So I think these fall under the same thing as that extra of the 502. Besides the 270, I think this is, I don't want to say take advantage, if we pay the other part and find out we have to, they're gonna want us to pay this. And I think that's why they're presenting us these bills right now.
Well, The one thing I do know is that last year we did have, some of this work wasn't done until last year. Can't remember which one of these drain boards, but they said Triple D had just done it last year, but they still had invoices from there, this is 2022. This is drain 28. And this one is, all the invoices are from 18 on drain 31.
I think we should just pay that 270, whatever it was, that initial one, and just sit on these like we're doing on the rest of them until we get some clarification.
Yeah, and like I say, these culverts were purchased in 2020, installed in 2021 on drain 71. So the only other one that's actually from last year would be this drain 28.
Well, I mean, we already have a motion contingent to Kelly Cole.
Mhm.
So I think we should wait for that clarification.
On these later bills.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree, but we still should pay that 270, I think. Cause that has nothing to do with this from Kelly. That was the original agreement that we verbally did in, November of 18, I think. Our portion of the drain. This other part of the 502, which would be what, 230 some thousand plus these other bills are what Kelly and them are sort of looking at the agreement or the rule. But the 270, we are responsible for that. That was Sharon presented that before and everything, before all this other stuff happened.
but it's your understanding that that was contingent to Kelly's decision, right?
Right, there was something, I just can't remember exactly what it was, but I thought it was something that Kelly would look at, and if she was fine with it, we'd pay the 270, because we always thought we were on the hook for that 270. You
The
know,
last time-
we were kind of surprised it wasn't paid, is the way I remember.
The last
it.
time I talked to Kelly, she felt comfortable paying the 270.
The
It was that,
270, it was that
later,
additional,
yes,
yeah, the remaining amount that we're not sure if we should be paying or not.
because she felt we were on, I don't know how to put it, we were responsible for that first amount, but not what comes after. So-
Mr. Chairman, then I think we all need to be told that. I mean, if Kelly told you that, that's one thing, but I haven't heard anything on, yes, pay it, or say, I mean, she could send us an email and say, I would encourage you to pay that initial amount, but I haven't heard anything. Since Dan Gosted was here, I've heard inklings of you being at a meeting and you guys talking about this, but that doesn't get to the commission. I mean, we need that clarification.
But yet, she just said it, she was under the understanding that we thought we paid that. So we must have said that we should pay it, but we haven't. Because I was under the same, I just said it, I thought we paid that bill, and we haven't. They're like,
Mr. Chairman, so in the minutes of let's see, January 3rd. Hold on here, I just got it. Commissioner Barta talked to State's Attorney Cole in regard to the water board billing discussed at the last meeting. So, that would be, the 2nd December meeting. Her recommendation is to pay the 239,791.36 that was agreed upon. Moving forward, adjustments will have to be made.
Okay, thank you.
I'll look back on December and just see what
for
this.
some reason, does that 239 sound? Well, it doesn't matter, even if we pay that, we're paying some of it, but yeah, I always got 270 stuck in my head.
I think when the Prairie Dog, at one point they were talking 270,000 for one of the prior meetings, and it's coming out of the Prairie Dog.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll use prairie dog funds when they become available.
So why wasn't that paid then? From
That's why we're bringing it up today, I thought it was too, so we should get on it and pay that. And then wait for ruling from Kelly or how they decide what we're gonna do with the rest of the stuff.
Would there be an invoice, was there an invoice back then that was sent for approval that you have that, or are you waiting for that? Is that something Kelly might have?
All I have is this 502.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, so I believe it was a portion, it was a percentage of the 502, so the billing would be the 502 at a certain percentage. Correct.
Yeah, this would be the first percentages for what was approved of. So the entire project, our cost share from according to the Water Resource Board is the 502,000. The entire project was millions. So this would just be our cost share portion. And Actually, if you go back, it says that the Walsh County portion is 22%, which is $500,000. Drain 87 in the assessment district was 33%, and the North Dakota State Water Commission, now the Department of Water Resources paid for 45%. So the Department of Water Resources paid 1.03 million. And the water board was what, 1.43 million. I know they've had people calling and about damages and different things, and also that their drains are. Some of their funding is out on some of their drains, they're not able to do some of their repairs they have. This is another reason why I was asked to bring these back.
So what's the amount that we're gonna pay? What did you say, 239?
Yeah,
If that's
we
what
should
they
have a
want.
bill for that. We shouldn't need to go by the.
Right,
by
and
this.
Right. But there obviously must have been, maybe she's got that amount there.
I wonder,
There is, but
is it not in the packet from that meeting? Would it be?
I wonder if we didn't look back in the November, I thought it was, wasn't it the November meeting of 2018, we verbally agreed to this? There should have been something on those minutes or in that area.
I haven't. found it.
in 2018,
18.
I don't
Well,
have
that's-
2018 on here.
Well, that's what I said, I was trying to look at it, but I didn't, but that was when we looked at the plans, and that's when the original,
The plans were 2018.
Yep.
When this all started, so.
so I don't know if there's money. I guess I don't know.
A long time before I came on board.
Yeah, that's the trouble, it's,
Well, just,
can I go down to the water board and up there, what that first portion was, they have it there, get a receipt or something from what's in there.
yeah, we'll go.
And maybe we can clarify this, and if you guys want to.
We'll sometimes back in the break here, well.
Okay.
Sharon, what was the minutes, was it January?
Yeah, the January
Third
minutes.
minutes, I think.
Yeah, cheaper not, I don't have the January 3rd, then.
Yeah, and I don't have the second December meeting off here. I don't
Yeah,
know
it's like
what
we're
I
missing
did
things
those.
out.
I might have, I might have,
I remember seeing in one of our packets, they went
Yeah.
okay, this is the percentage you owe because of this. So it's like we had that, it's just where is it?
Jason, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I don't think it's fair for them to ask you to bring it back until, I'm not, I shouldn't say
That
that.
December meeting, I was down in Florida, I remember that fast.
When they were here, like that
Oh,
said in the
You
water.
just have to get to the bottom.
You were on your way home.
Cause I know I was here, so it has to be after.
You were on the phone though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Roll adage.
So Jason, what you told me then was- The 239,71,000 that was approved in the January minutes, as part of this $502,000 was. Okay, I just want to make sure, because I wasn't involved in all that, so.
Ron, what did you say his name was?
Yeah.
Sean Field,
No, say that again.
Lisa said they call him G.
like, you will let us call him G, yes. It's GINTIL, but it's Jean with a J, Jean Thiel.
Jean Keel?
Teal.
Jean
Teal.
Teal.
Yeah, I did discus and I had a Hispanic gentleman yesterday and I asked him how to say his name. I'm like, I'm Norwegian. I will never say it as good as you. I mean, just the rolling the R's and
So that's his last name, Teal?
No.
No, that's his first name.
his last name is even harder. Cozy.
Yeah, yes. But I said, help me with this, then go to the commission meeting, he said, no, you do it in your nose.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's not gonna work for me.
He certainly seems personal.
Oh,
He-
gosh,
he-
that'd
he
be
is.
great.
His story is just unbelievable.
Really.
He's so full of optimism from where he came and
Where did he come from, Ron?
the Congo.
And how did we,
He ended up in a refugee camp
Okay.
in the Sudan. And he had chances to go to New Zealand and he said, no, I wanna go to America. And he waited and finally he got the chance to come to America, and they sent him to Fargo, North Dakota. He was a minor, so he ended up in a foster care system. And he went to Fargo South, and
Why does that sound familiar?
then he graduated from Fargo South, and he came here by himself as an orphan,
I was gonna say all by himself as
Yeah.
a child?
yeah.
How old?
And his king. And
That was-
his stepdad or whatever was a security guard, and he said, I've always been interested in law enforcement, and so he put himself into the academy, and but his optimism is just,
His story sounds
Infection.
so familiar.
Wow.
Maybe it's been written on.
Yeah, I don't know, that story.
Would it have been like Lutheran Social Services maybe that brought him, if that was Fargo?
That's okay.
so
Are you sure?
their birth date and everything is not.
Hey, I got a bill here. The amount we should have been paying is $239,791.36. That's the original. $187.
239. Grain 87, where exactly is that? Is that the one?
Stuff they drafted.
That one over there.
Yeah.
You want the Bible?
Oh.
It's one I'm assessed on.
I don't know, Karen, I don't know if we've got all the drains here now, drains and everything, so it's here if you wanted to look at it.
Okay.
All right, any more discussion on this or?
Mr. Chairman, I just have one thing. I think we need to get to the bottom of it. So how do we get to the bottom of it already? Do we work with Kelly on this? Because this remaining part of this bill is gonna hang out there and haunt us until we figure out what we're going to do.
My understanding, the water board is working with Kelly now,
Okay. Okay, as long as they're working together.
because that's what they stated that not this morning, but the last week, that they were corresponding with Kelly and. Their point blank says they don't wanna go anywhere and get in a big argument, they wanna work it out, and Danny was working with Kelly. And that's when he brought up this new legislation and whatever, so.
But we're okay to pay this,
Yeah, the 239.
and it's coming out of what fund?
Pray up.
What do we have left in that balance? I thought we used that.
We're not out yet, but we're not out yet. We had enough to cover for this and hopefully a little bit more, but. Until I get the bids that for the actual projects done, I have enough to cover that 239 right now. I had enough to cover the 270, but. I'd rather get as much of it covered from that than we can as possible, because my standard budget for culverts is usually only around 60,000. The standard and a 36-inch culvert for cost share of the county is, or the townships is I just looked this morning, $22,250 each. When we have funding available for them. And I've been trying to help them out as much as I can, but we got our own, that we have to worry about too.
So do we have a motion to pay this bill?
I'll make a motion, we pay the set amount of 239, whatever it
We've
was.
done that. We,
Did you? Oh, you did, didn't you?
There's been a motion.
no, in the last minute.
Yeah,
We just
Well,
haven't paid it.
we did, it just hasn't
Yeah,
been paid.
well, we should maybe make another motion, being we didn't pay it though. So it's on record that we got it, that we did pay it now. I mean, yeah, we made a motion, but we never paid it, but at least now if we make a motion moving forward, hopefully we pay it.
Okay.
I don't know what you're gonna do. Yes, yeah,
And yeah, you just say pay it, if the motion has been made, we need to double motions
Yeah.
via order to do that.
That'll come from here.
Yeah, I'll put it in with Tammy today or sign it off, so I'll get it in the next page.
Mr. Chairman, too, I guess if we can we make a request going forward that Kelly is present at a county meet, at a commission meeting? If these bills are gonna come before us and be requested to be paid, that we have that per here to be able to do some explanation of, you know, what she advises and why going forward, especially if they're large amounts or if they're past bills, or to maybe accomplish that.
But she was working on clarifying that century code, right?
her and Dan are gonna work on it.
Yeah, okay. So until that gets done, we're kind of sitting, right?
And the water board knows that, so. They're not gonna move forward, I don't know about you, Jason, my understanding is until they get that legislation and know where they're going. Then they're gonna move forward with this.
We just, everyone, for this part going forward, we all need to know
Right,
what they came out of the legislation essentially go over the lot, so we can make sure everyone's on the same page, but. So,
and I told Danny that we'd like to see the letter or whatever when they decide what the legislation is. Along with that, I was totally shocked when we were there last week. In 2021, the legislatures, you remember that we used to have upstream and you had to have a mile when you got a drain tile? So you had to talk to your neighbors a mile away. 2021, the legislatures took it completely out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I thought that was only for 80 acres. but
No.
that is for a whole-
well, everything. So downstream neighbors don't even have to be contacted, and that's horrible.
I just need some clarification. So you're saying that Dan is talking to Kelly? And they're gonna work out on if we should pay the remainder of this 500,000 or how much we should pay or whatever. But you're saying, Jason, that who's asking you to bring these bills to present to us to pay now? From 2020, 2018, 2022, who's asking you to bring those bills up to us?
water board and Ernie and the.
I wanted everybody to know that they're coming, and that's part of the deal. It wasn't that they want us to pay them right now, and I said, we're not doing this.
I thought you were presenting them to us to pay them, but yet I'm getting a different story here, so I'm just totally confused.
No, these, to me, those bills fall under the rest of the CDs. And I said, you guys can present them to us, we'll take them, but I said, we're not paying anything till this, whatever we call it, is settled.
Okay.
And then when the new unless there was emergency clause with what just came out of legislative session, the next one won't take effect until August first, so we have time before the next project start to get everything nailed down to how things are going to proceed in the future, so we're all on the same page.
I wanted you to know that besides that, whatever, 262 that's left, there's another 60-70,000 right there that we got today that we might be on the hook for. That's why I wanted to come here. So those other ones that were added today, that's dependent on that legislation or whatever they decide on, we might be having to pay them too. Just to let you know, it's a mess.
So the work gets done and we just get told what to pay afterwards.
Well, that's part of the water board and your cost share.
Part that gets me is a lot of this should have been pushed back onto that drainage system.
Right.
My but that's for them. Century Code rule.
Yeah, that's the recommend.
Yeah. All right, any further questions on that? I think we've hashed that pretty well. Move on to, what's that, your annual report?
One of our favorites. So I got one bill for signature from the lower rating bridges for our friends at Collins, but this month it's only $176.82. That's a lot better.
How did they send it to $176?
Because the state paid for 80% of it. They inspected one bridge.
So one bridge, if that's 80%, that's only $300, 400 maybe?
Yeah, some on this one. So.
How come our other bills are so high?
It depends on which pieces they do, what type of a bridge inspection they have to do. In the month of April, they were here, I told them we were flooding, they're gonna have to come back to do it. And I talked to Brian about that, saying, coming back to do something when we're flooded, it doesn't make sense to me. They also agreed with me that when they called me for a critical finding on a bridge where the road was closed, because the road is underwater and the bridge was just started coming out, that wasn't a necessity. So we're kind of going on top of those, so Brian and I talked a lot about the bridge and what we get and what we were getting out of it. So he knows my concerns quite well.
This is for two bridges?
Yeah, those two. So in April, they did like 8, they'll have to come back. In June, we have 6 bridges coming up. In July, there's like 15 bridge inspections coming. So those are some of the ones that I'm going over and taking a look about the last inspection reports and figuring out if there's anything that we can do prior to them getting here. So we don't have to bring them back to us to do another load rating after we make the repairs. So that's kind of what we're striving for. We also have some culverts that have to get replaced underneath, probably up to number 9 before that asphalt. So.
Mr. Chairman, didn't, when Brian Fuchs was on, didn't he say though that this year should be not quite so painful because it's not both low rating and so.
Even half of it's painful.
It is, but we gotta get our bridges.
You guys want to see this bill before we make a motion?
Should have been.
No, I mean, it's an automatic payment, isn't it? We don't have to approve $160.
Well, that one we have to get signatures for. so,
Right, but
Yeah.
we don't have to approve it. It's less than.
So make the motion that you approve the signatures.
Yeah, Bill. Yeah, I don't care, I guess.
I'll make a motion, we approve signing that and paying it.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote, Christie.
Yes.
Bernie.
Yes.
Karen.
Yes,
Amy.
yes.
That's all, yes, motion carried. What do you want me to put in the remarks call?
Feel free.
Okay, annual audit?
Annual report. Does anybody have any questions or concerns of?
I just have one thing just for agenda. Like, I wonder if Tanya needs to be someplace, being she was on the agenda for 10 o'clock, and how long this would take.
it depends what questions you guys have on the annual report, I guess.
Okay,
I wasn't planning, I didn't think that we wanted to page through it on page by page basis. I don't know, I've never gone through with an annual report with you guys before, so.
usually we do go on almost
I guess, what do you guys want?
quickly. I
Go
mean,
through all?
I don't know, any highlights you wanna tell us about that?
We came within our budgets, we didn't go, it wasn't really crazy, the expenditures from the flood, the FEMA things that are still out there, we're still doing it, that stuff. Still waiting for funding from it, still doing our inspections. We looked through our graphs, all our funds, we did all right, we balance on hand after December 31st. From our other highway department funds was still, and our bond money was a little over $1 million. So, the 2017 flood, that was finally closed out. There's a positive, in that fund for $5,876.45. I reached out to DES and we can actually use that money for mitigation projects. So that we can spend that. I got a clarification from them that I can use that for mitigation of purchasing rock bags. So underneath some of our bridges where we have issues getting the riprap underneath it, with these rock bags, we can fill them up with smaller rock to about the size of 2 ton or 4 ton. And be able to get those underneath the bridges a little bit easier to get them underneath the abutments we're hoping. So it's something that I got a blessing from DOT to try it. Their biggest concern is the rock bags getting caught by trees and things, but we're putting everything down the toe. Hopefully, when the high flows are coming through, that's not going to be an issue by big trees making.
That fractured rock.
The fractured rock is what we put in our big riprap pieces. These are just gonna be able to be anything that's 6 to 8 inches. So we basically fill a bag and then you can use that bag to drop it into place. It lets you. It lets you get away from the fractured rock. The big riprap is a heavy expense. So if we can put that on the outside edges to protect these bags.
So for bookkeeping purposes, can we close out that whole?
Yeah, we'll be able to, as soon as I make sure it's there. The rock bags are on order, so we'll be able to close out that 2017 budget line
Yeah.
the next month or two.
We physically fill the rock bag ourselves.
Yeah, we fill the rock bags ourselves. They just provide us the bags and we have a form that you set it, use a payload to fill it. Step them up and haul them up to the site on a flatbed or on big red.
Sure.
Can the public buy those rock beds?
From the company, yeah. We don't do resale. I can get
What company is that?
FPS Solutions. I can
Oh,
get
no.
it, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Might be a good solution for you though.
Well, I was just thinking about that, but riprap is probably cheaper to get.
$9,000 for 50 bags.
Yeah. I don't know, 50 bags would do mine. No.
Holy.
Hmm?
Holy.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions on the annual report?
Anything that you think we should know of that's eye-catching? I looked at it and I guess I didn't see anything, but
I guess the biggest eye-catching thing to me is really no surprise to anybody else really either is the fuel bills. If you look at the fuel we went through in January of 22 was 7,500, February 6,800. You kind of see where the big swing events are when you're looking at it, just by where your fuel is. In the winter, we were through diesel fuel. The last couple of times it was basically 4,000 gallons a month.
What's that?
No, we still have one position open for FTE and I still have one position open for seasonal that's on the road crew. So I have 2 applications that came in from Indeed, but they don't actually have our application form, so I've reached out to them to submit them to it. So hopefully we can get those guys to submit their applications to us and we can bring them in for some interviews. So I just got those 2, so I had 3 on hand. I heard rumor of another person, but we've never seen it.
Mr. Chairman, for that one thing, appreciate the annual report, it's nice to have this again. I would just ask, and Jake, you and I talked about a little bit about this earlier, but when I went through the report and looked at the balances
Yes.
and compared them to the fund balance that the auditor's office has, we have discrepancies. And I'd like those resolved, and I know one of them was resolved with Chris, she had an error, but there's some other ones that are, you know, they're substantial, so I know you say you always balance with the treasurer's office, so you feel comfortable. But I'd just like you to be able to work with the auditor's office as well, because I feel that fund balance, it should be identical to the penny. And we've got one, for example, road and bridge, our road and bridge total, pardon, I'm on page 26. The road and bridge total, for the total spent, to me, that's a pretty easy thing to track, right? What you spent, should be. Jason, you show that you've spent $609,486.75. The fund balance in the auditor's office showed $644,469.85. So I'd just like to know why are there differences? So if you could maybe have Tammy look into that with the auditor's office, you know, it's probably something that can be easily corrected, but I do feel they need to match. And most of them do match when I went through, but there's some that don't, so that's what concerns me. So if you wouldn't mind just having Tammy check that out. Other than that, great report, appreciate it. Thank
I
you.
remember sometimes,
Let me know, this is her strong labor of work.
I think
A lot.
sometimes it's a timing deal too, when we pay them or something.
I went by the end of December,
Did you?
I looked at the end, it should be the end of the year, December
Yeah, it should.
31st, yeah.
Well done on your.
Yep.
So anyway,
Yeah, we'll take a look at that one.
thank you.
Anything else for Jason? No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
I will get this signed. In fact, if you guys wanna sign it right now, I'll give it to you.
Yeah. Did we discuss it?
Well, I guess if you wanna, I guess we discussed it last meeting.
Well, it was on the agenda.
It's on
Yeah. So you all got this letter that we're gonna sign and send back to the Water Resource Board in the state. It's on surface drain permit application number 6207. So. Your blessing and stuff. If you want to copy that.
Yeah.
So reading that, I don't know if you're aware of that, he wants to change the national waterway and. If you're interested, I don't know, the legal on that one, but it's like, George Edwards Yard or, okay, Harper's going to. It's going to the state is what we're responding to.
What was the water board's thoughts on this? Were they doing?
Well, the trouble is, it's gotta come back from the state, and we think the state's just gonna push it back here and it'll be a local deal. The water board don't want it. You don't want it, there's a wetland involved and you're sending water and making it turn and what's it gonna do to the two local guys? You got one guy building a house there, is it gonna back up the water? What's it gonna do to our county 6? A lot of issues. And all it's gonna do is funnel water down and make it go faster.
Yep. Figured out.
And you didn't put the date. Do you want me to put the date for
Yeah.
you?
Sure. I can read that.
You're gonna scan that then and do I have to come down and do anything?
Once you want the original back, I'll scan it.
No, I
and
don't.
I'll send it to your email. So you have it.
Do we want to copy an amendment?
Mr. Chairman, can I just, if we still have a meeting today at 1?
Yes,
Okay,
at the park.
clarify.
One.
Sherry.
I'm not gonna make it.
Sherry's gonna be the secretary. I have other commitments this afternoon and Angie's gonna start this afternoon, so.
Hold on to Tanya.
One on your screen.
What do you have listed first on the agenda?
Audit.
Just got off the phone, getting kind of nervous. We conducted interviews yesterday. We had 3 interviews for the auditor position. And I just got off the phone. That's where I came in, and the top candidate that we all unanimously agreed upon has accepted the position. So, Christy Clavel has accepted the position of auditor, and we made the assumption, and I hope that's okay, that you as a commission wouldn't feel the need to conduct another interview. It was very unanimous amongst our committee that we felt she was the strongest candidate, and so if you wish to, you certainly can, but she's prepared, she's already spoken to her current employer, and of course, they tried to keep her, but she accepted. And so she would like a start date of June 7th. So we were hoping a little bit sooner, but she also has her first child graduating, so there's just a lot on her plate right now. And so, and also one of the other people, there's 3 people, I think, in her department at her current job, and one of the others also has a graduate, so she's feeling like she needs to give them, you know, in that time, she only is working a week and a half because she's got time off for graduation herself too. So June 7th is what she's looking at.
Is there a possibility when you do the last payroll, we could get her in for one day? Just to learn the payroll end of it? I'm just thinking. Would that be good or no? I don't know.
Well, we kind of already have a plan in place.
Oh, you do?
With
Okay.
Sandra and Angie as far as the
Okay.
payroll, so I think we're okay.
We talked about it yesterday,
Okay.
and I feel like with Angie, and she's like, we've
Okay.
got it, feel like we've got an okay plan, but yeah. So.
So I think she'd be able to work in on the next.
Okay,
month's
I've got
payroll.
some
I guess is what
It's
I'd
a good
like.
question, yeah, but I feel like Sandra and Angie have done everything they can to prepare to make sure that we're good to go, so.
And we're actually working in June off of the old software,
Yeah.
so what, July would be the new software then
Right.
for payroll, so really pointless for her to kind of see what June.
Right,
I think
even
we,
June's is gonna be, Angie's probably gonna be doing that a lot here, because not a lot of sense in Christie even, learning that.
I think we have a very pleasant person coming in that's really knowledgeable and just spy. I think she'll.
Jerry, were you in on your do you know her?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can tell
I
that.
interviewed her for the deputy treasurer and.
Cool. Yeah.
Terry tried to hire her already. Yeah.
She's
But
been
Ron-
good.
Yeah, I think just, yes.
Was in on the interview and she's very impressive. I think she's gonna bring some great ideas, some fresh, new perspective. I think she's
Yeah,
gonna work out well. I'm very excited.
She's worked, with the growth of Dakota Bank, how many banks did she say? Fargo, and she's been the head auditor and everything else, so she's got some pretty good tools with her.
yeah, she's, with some great experience.
I just really wanna honor Tanya for how much work you've been doing these past couple of months, because I know you've had a lot going on, and it's exciting that we're moving into this next step. And the committee this is relatively pretty fast that we've gotten to be able to this turnaround, so, yeah.
Yeah, I went quick.
I was getting nervous, she told me she was gonna get back to me last night, and then there was nothing, it was radio silence, I was like, oh. And this morning I still hadn't heard, and I was coming here, so I sent her a quick message, and she's like, if you have a minute, I can call you, so I ran downstairs quick, so she, as I suspected, her employer did what they could to keep her, and she's excited.
I didn't even say hi to her this morning. I said, did you hear?
I know, we've all kind of been on pins and needles, 'cause
I think
We're excited to have
bring
her.
her before the commission. I trust the committee's judgment on it.
Yes.
I was kind of feeling like you would I was hoping you would feel that way, because we had a really great committee. I'm glad that we pulled in those other department heads. I think that was really helpful as well, because it was just good to have their input, and Alan was also there, so it was Alan, Kelly, Ron, and Ed was gonna be there. Ed just couldn't make it, but yeah, so I would suggest that the commission make a motion to hire Christy Clavel as our new auditor.
So moved.
I will second it.
Any further discussion? And she can start when?
June 7th.
June 7th.
3 weeks, be here before we know it.
Yeah, and we talked with Angie, a little bit yesterday, knowing that there might be a gap. We were hoping it'd be a really small gap, so there'll be a little bit of a gap. We're just trying to do everything we can to make sure Angie feels supported. She's running the office by herself for that little bit of the time.
That'll be a day after our first June meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
Along with that, when she said unanimous, it was, the committee just all really thought she was the one that we wanted.
felt strongly that, yeah, she's gonna be a really good fit.
She's gonna be an excellent fit.
Yeah.
No, I think you guys are going to be really pleasantly surprised.
I think she smiled the whole interview, just had a,
Now we'll call for the vote, Christie.
Yeah,
Ernie?
yeah,
Karen?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
thank you.
Yeah,
So
we
with
are.
that, yeah, speaking of Angie, it doesn't make a lot of sense, you know, with Sandra's resignation, we were talking about, do we need to be, you know, what are we doing with that second deputy position in that office? And it doesn't make a lot of sense for any of us to make the decision about refilling that position when we have a brand new auditor coming on board. That auditor should be the one in charge of that hiring process, right?
Yeah.
So it would be my suggestion at this time, Angie is already training directly with Sandra and doing the work of that deputy two. I would suggest reclassifying Angie to the deputy two position right now. I asked her like yesterday, is that okay with you? Are you okay with having that position? And she said, yeah, I'm doing the work. I might as well, right, have the title that goes with it. So I would suggest a reclassification of Angie from the deputy one to the deputy two position. So I would, we would need a motion on that from the board right now.
And your pay scale will change?
Yep, the pay scale changes with it. It's a slightly different pay scale that goes with that. So she's been phenomenal, stepping up and keeping a positive attitude about it all the time, so.
Mr. Chairman, I will make that motion.
For a second,
I'll second it.
any further discussion? Any further discussion? No, call for the vote, Karen?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Christie?
yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Okay, so as far as the billing of that, that's just gonna be tabled right now. I know that it's a lot of change going on, but it seems kind of foolish for us to proceed with that process. We'll work with Christie when she's on board and discuss how to proceed with that position. So right now, that's just gonna sit, that it would be the deputy one that it's gonna sit vacant right now, so. Any questions on that? There's a lot of change happening really quickly now here.
Mr. Chairman, so what was Angie at just now?
Angie was the deputy one, and she will now be deputy two, based on your motion just now, so, yeah. So we have
She'll
the,
be Sandra now.
yep, she'll be
Yeah.
Sandra now.
I must have misunderstood something. Okay.
Sorry, yeah. Yeah, so she's,
Deputy one is
Is the-
Christie. No,
No, she's out of it.
Yeah,
Christie
yeah,
will be the
auditor.
auditor, yep, Angie will be deputy two, so the new Sandra.
Yeah.
And then we'll have that third spot vacant right now. So, lots of moving parts.
I guess deputy one would mean, to me.
The higher
The
one,
higher
I know,
one,
it's a little bit
That's why
confusing,
it was
but
just,
we went, you know, the highway department has like 1, 2, and 3, and the highest level for them is the 3s. And so we went through and streamlined all of it just a year or two ago, and I struggle as well. We were talking about yesterday, like, I can't
now that
keep
I
it straight,
know that.
so, yeah.
Running a race backwards.
everybody else.
Right.
Thanks go out to the committee and the Tanya for all work.
I was surprised everybody got all our resumes and everything back in a
Everybody
little
was-
over a day.
Great about it. I put a lot of pressure on everybody. I was, give this back to me in the next day and a half, and everybody did, so.
Kind of like the rest of you, I've been losing sleep over it. all this.
Oh, yeah. Not so much the beginning when we interviewed her yesterday. I lost sleep last night.
Thinking that.
Well, yeah, just knowing that she was that presented herself and everything, I called her and I said, cross your fingers and toes.
Wonder how many years have we been here?
It's my 11th year.
Boy, time flies.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
That was well.
We came in at the same time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It was a tough decision. It really
Good
was.
luck in here. Thank you very much for your service to the county.
Don't be afraid to come back and see us.
Well,
You know her
with that,
that way.
I'd just like to commend Sandra. I was going to ask her, but before you even got to ask, she volunteered to come in and assist with payroll or anything that Angie needs help with in the time being. I mean, payroll, we cannot have, we have to keep payroll going. So she has offered to come back and help as needed with the payroll process for the first, I don't know if I don't put a time limit on there, but the first few months anyways, probably.
Whatever.
Whatever you
Yeah,
need.
whatever.
She's been very, very gracious to offer, of course, she can't come in during the workday, so they've agreed to do it on evenings, weekends, whenever they need to, so I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. From someone that's leaving a job that she's been at for 11 years, going to a new job and still being concerned about taking care of what's going on here. I mean, it says a lot, so thank you.
Said something about your commitment to the county.
Absolutely.
Ron actually mentioned where he was worried about his paycheck.
Not worried about that.
His guys,
Worried about
Yeah.
the guy who's.
Yeah. it was discussed, you know.
And with that, Tanya and I did visit with Angie and Sandra, and we feel like we have a fairly good plan in place on moving forward until Christie does get in here. And even once Christie comes, you know, there's gonna be some transition. We can't expect her to just hit the ground running.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think we have a good plan in place, so I feel comfortable with it.
Yep, I do too. I feel like it was great to have that meeting we had yesterday. It's, and we've made it really clear that we just need to be transparent about any needs that the rest of us don't know about, you know, that are happening in that office that we aren't thinking about.
And the rest of the floor has been awesome to step up. We had a floor meeting. They've all offered to help. Sandra said she's taken them up on some of that. They have been, I know Sherry's been helping, Yvette's helped. They've all really have come together as a team, so I'd like to commend the whole second floor. I am, the turnaround that I'm kind of seeing on this floor is so positive and just really a good thing to see, so I appreciate it. Good team.
Yeah, we know there's gonna be a bumpy road, but yet it's gonna be a smooth highway, I think, once we get it all done.
We did, when the dust settles.
Yep, when the dust
Yeah.
settles.
That new software falling into place.
I would say yes. Would you agree, Sandra? It's been a little bit of bumpy road, but she's just said that they got everything worked out with the fund codes just recently and.
Made great strides in, I think, it's gonna be great moving forward.
You know, when you look at all this happening, it's maybe a good time that the software's coming. And not saying that it's a good time that you're leaving, but now we got a new person learning this new stuff, so the timing sort of is good. Cause it's a learning curve for everybody.
Yeah.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank Christie for all her work done since moving out things. for the second floor and
Part of the job.
I know,
Thank
but,
you.
yeah.
I like doing it.
Your car must know the way through by itself.
Right.
Glad it was on you. Glad it was you and not me.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I feel about the highway department. It's a big equipment.
Yeah.
You know, the last couple of weeks with the interviews and then audition with water board and everybody, the other day, somebody looked at me and he said, "You here again today?" And we've been here a lot. With the floods and everything, and this, but yeah.
Well, I just have one last comment. I just like to say, I'm so happy that we did not have to settle for an auditor. We're just,
Yeah.
we're really not settling here, you guys. I just want everybody to know that, because in this day and age with lack of applications or lack of qualified applications, it's very difficult to find that standout, and she was a standout. So
Probably,
hopefully that puts everybody's mind at ease.
Yep. Of all the interviews I've done since I've been here, it's probably the best one I've been to. She was good.
Well, let's move on. Anything else, Connie?
Yes, I have one more thing, please, and it's not on the agenda, but I need to verify the next jail meeting date. I know everybody needs that on their calendar. Is it easiest to just put it after the next commission meeting on whatever date that is, June?
June 6th.
Sixth, okay. If that's, I'll just request that from the Samuels group. They just said, you know, suggested end of the month. End of the month is, I'm hoping to take a little time off personally, I've got a graduate as well.
Oh, you
So,
do, I was gonna ask.
I do, yeah, so, I'm probably not gonna be super available if I can, you know, that last week of the month. And then first Memorial Day, I think is what, the 29th, and then Monday is the 29th, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could either do that Friday or just go to the next commission meeting. I
The
don't know if
next
it's-
commission.
Okay, that way you guys aren't, everybody's not coming in twice.
Yeah, Friday on, Memorial Weekend.
Well, it would be the Friday after
Oh.
Memorial, but still, I
Oh,
felt
yeah,
like
that
days,
would
it's
be-
gonna be a matter of days, so I don't know if it's, yeah.
So what date?
This,
The sixth.
Do we expect it to be kind of a little bit of a quick, I have a regional council meeting after a commission meeting that day, but
I would imagine, they've been really just, it's just the point of just like giving us a quick update on things, so I don't anticipate it to be very long. That's what the impression I've received. And I did put in that email, you probably all saw that, Trail rescinded their motion. No word from Pembina County, so I think that's just, we just.
We're on our own.
Yep, yeah, there is one commissioner there who was really, really adamant about it, but he's not enough, so to be pushing it, I guess, so it is what it is.
From Pembina.
Yeah, from Pembina County, yeah.
So jail meeting,
Jail meeting, we'll do it, I mean, what time?
Depends on the agenda.
I know, what time is your meeting, Amy?
At 11:30.
Okay,
And if I can't be here, 'cause they are,
sure, it's just meant to be a quick update, it's not like there's decisions that will be made.
What do you wanna do, just put it on the agenda,
Yeah, we could just add it to the regular commission agenda.
and then it helps you and your
like
meeting,
at 11?
So I'm thinking 11.
Yeah,
or even earlier, just put it, whatever. Put it on the agenda and do it.
there's Samuel's groups gonna be, or Zoom.
They would zoom in, yeah, they would do a Teams meeting or whatever, yeah,
So we could do that through here though.
yeah, we could.
Yeah, but we've got a lot of people on that committee that get in.
Some farmers.
Well, we could go downstairs for that.
How about 8 a.m.? And then we're up here by 9.
that sounds great to me.
You do it early that day?
Yeah,
Okay, so Tuesday morning, June 6th at 8.
Add that to the agenda so we don't have to look at the bills that much, we'll just set that.
Yeah, and we start at the farmer's room then. Okay.
Yeah,
We're gonna have that new TV in there by then?
I'm hoping the shipment is still on its way. The last time that they have to, got the frame up when we let the TV out, the brand new 80-inch TV was busted. No sign of box damage or anything. Heard one of that size that Wayne has had that happen to this year. So
Stuff too,
Somebody,
deliveries.
it's almost like there's broken before it was in the box. The box is in it.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right,
okay,
anything else?
nope, that's all I have, so.
Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Review wish list. We wanna get on that?
that thing's so old, I forgot about half of it.
No, I know. There's a copy of it.
It was sent to you in an email. And I got one.
I have a copy.
Yeah. I can find it, I moved so much stuff around this morning.
If you want a copy, I did print on there, probably some printer.
Yeah,
I
what?
thought I brought mine.
Mr. Chairman, I feel like you guys might have some updates on a few of these. You know, as far as being able to update it on what's been done. She put in red what's been taken care of, but. I could do it then.
I can check.
I did some, it's on there too.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
thinking,
But I like the paper.
the Civic Garden in that fair building, I would not. Put money into that.
Ethan, did you change the timer on the locks?
Yes.
Both 5 to now? 10 to, okay. I waited till 5 to when it was open, I just wondering if you changed it. Sometimes they cut. How about the, like when we got health court at 5, it closes at 4:30?
Well, at 4:30, but it all lets me know, like.
So red.
I'll get a hold of them. Those are the only 2 ones that I have trouble getting in on.
Yeah, I think these are the 4 meetings, so.
But the meetings are at 5.
How much paper, Danny? I just looked at it last night. It said it's here. It's probably in my water. Oh, there it is. Alvin County. Still on it? What's going on? I have one, I printed one.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what, I was actually wondering about that. Cause I thought that's even big.
That's a different.
Yeah, just a little update here, she said. I was wondering on that
Just
number
like a-
too. Yeah.
How much money do we have left?
That's what I'm looking for right now. Do you know what's left in
I
the?
do, I did look that up,
Good,
and
good.
we are just like at a little over 1.6 million remaining to spend.
Oh, that's our federal, isn't this our COVID?
This is,
This is CARES and ARPA.
so this is the number I gave you, the 1.6 is CARES funds.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I didn't look up what the balance is on the ARPA, because your wish list says it can come from both.
See, if for some reason, the last one, I got the wish list for CARES and ARPA, The one before this, I had 500,000 written in CARES.
I'm looking for right now.
I got so many scribbles on this.
Well, at the end of 2022. There were a couple of large deposits.
Oh, sure.
That's fine.
So what did you say, 1.6 million?
1.6. Yes,
And that's in both funds combined?
yes, I'm gonna say yes, because American Rescue is listed on here as one of the deposits, and that would be your ARPA funds.
Okay.
Do we know the balance we owe on the software?
I do not, and with it being out of office, I just thought of that this morning too, that's why I wrote on that to get an update, because we're making payments to Tyler for that software kind of as we go, and after we complete training sessions, they will bill us for that time, but it is all supposed to be part of the big picture of the $220,000 overall bill.
Cause we've only paid 20.
No,
No,
I know we've
it
paid
has-
more.
okay. Okay,
But since Ed is kind of overseeing that project in general, the bills do go to him, he sends them to us, they're from the
Mr. Chairman, I would say that we could probably scratch Polar Communications and broadband infrastructure and not even worry about that. They're getting money from the state this year to help with that, with their grants and stuff, so.
Help.
to come here or to.
For their fiber, yeah.
On the second page, up and down.
Yeah.
Bob, did you get a copy of this?
That'd be great. Oh, yeah, it's no amount, it's just it's over.
Yeah.
Okay. Soil conservation lost revenue, I think we could scratch that too.
I agree.
They got the direction there I'm supposed to.
Mr. Chairman, I know this is probably dependent on what we do here, but the security and safety issues have been brought up to me in terms of the glass and with which one were they talking about? I read that for here. Where was it? Oh, the bulletproof resistant. I know Bev.
Was that on the building?
It's on the second page at the top. You know, auditor, treasurer, recorder, that she said they've had people come in, you know, from the court down to the treasurer's office. They've had upset, you know, plaintiffs, if you will, and if we're gonna continue here, I think security needs to be in this day and age something we take seriously. You know, it's not cheap, but.
120,000.
We had, where's the?
Risk manager at the top. They've done it
Oh,
on
it's just
the
not.
second
okay.
floor or third.
So this is technically first floor, basement 1 and 2,
Second,
and
so it's been done on
replacing.
second.
and nothing's been done in 1. And it is a concern as working here, honestly, when I'm working here my first year, there were folks that have been upset and come repeatedly to visit or do business at the county, and knowing that there may be a risk of some type of anger issue or situation, and sitting behind those windows and glass doors, and that's been a concern for me for 11 years, sitting in my chair. You come in the building, we're probably in the treasurer's office, first point of contact. If you are just coming in general, which we know shooters do, they'll shoot random until they find their targets. It's a possibility, so
So you
I'm
may,
appreciating these.
you're just talking the auditor, or you're talking also the courthouse replacing the doors? You're just
Well,
talking the glass and the
I'm
auditor
just
for
saying security. I think we should take it seriously from a perspective of our staff. You know, like, I think what's been done, like Bev showed me all that's been done up there, and that's great for them, but I don't know, I don't think we should pick and choose, you know, who we're protecting, and I don't like to think that way, but in the end of the day, it's reality of, and she even said, I mean, it's been someone in the court, you know, that has been, and they just walked in and started ranting to, I think she said it was The treasurer, I mean, someone that has nothing to do with their case, you know, their anger shouldn't have been directed to them, but as we know, it doesn't matter sometimes, so.
They all have security buttons, don't they?
They do, and they're functional, but
It's a lifetime.
it is, when you're confronted with an angry person, it seemed like a very long time until
Somebody,
help can get there. I think the first decision has to be made, what happens with the courthouse before you start putting money into, but security, none of our buildings were built with security in mind. The courthouse was built to look nice, but safety was not in any thought. The glass windows and the glass doors do not lead themselves to security at all, so there's, would be a lot of work to do, to make it more secure.
And open doors. You know, we can have secure glass, but if we have open doors, they're gonna walk in through an open door.
Correct.
So, I mean, if we're gonna take these steps,
Right.
we need to go all the way.
It's just hard because how
I
much
agree.
work was put into second floor. I mean, when Bev showed me what they've done, that's a lot. And
A lot of
that's been recent, so.
but a lot of that was courthouse grant, or the grants too and stuff. So we got a lot of money through grants up there on that floor.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Facilities.
so Christie, you mean by open door that they can just come in?
Right.
Well,
But I mean, like, even like, if you go into the treasurer's office, okay, so if you have secure glass, and I'm not against it, I
Yep,
mean,
yep.
I'm for that. But I'm just saying, you have secure glass, so they can't shoot through the glass, but the door's open, I walk in all the time.
Mhm.
We can walk into any of these offices anytime, it's not like it's a locked door into the offices, so. You know, if you're gonna take one step, if we're
Yes,
gonna spend
yes.
hundreds of thousands of dollars to replace the glass, to put in secure glass, then maybe we need to start
like,
locking our
you're
doors.
talking about that door right
Yeah,
there,
the door
yes,
right
okay.
into the
Because we
treasurer's
can't-
office, or the door right into the auditor's office, and nobody wants to have to sit behind locked doors. But
Mr. Chairman.
just,
Here, go ahead.
Another part of that, once you start locking the doors, and Jason can talk a little bit about that. It alters the airflow in those offices. That they were never meant, they were always meant to have the doors open, so the offices it's changed the airflow in those offices. They're hotter, they're colder. So it all plays into
right,
what happens when you start changing that airflow pattern.
right, so I guess kind of my point is do we wanna spend thousands of dollars to put in glass if we're not gonna have a shut locked door?
Jason.
With our key fob system, we can change the locked doors, so your fob can get us into the doors. But it's gonna create electrical problems, it's gonna take more stuff for VPN, it's gonna take those things. You can replace the glass, that's fine. But everything below it needs to be addressed as well. So it's, once you open these things, then, okay, so you take care of the inside. Are you gonna do all the windows? Or those are options. It's a lot to take a look at, and you're, just to review the key system, from the first conversations that I had, and I brought Ron into, we're looking at a $250,000 bill to change the key systems.
Mr. Chairman, but I mean, I would be curious to see what the staff say, like, you know, going from just having bulletproof glass to locked door, that's a pretty big step. I mean, they would probably feel even a little bit more comfortable having the glass, correct me if I'm wrong, but at least to have that. Cause you think about if someone shoots through glass, it's going right through. If at least, you know, if generally people are shooting, it's high. And so I'm not saying we can do it perfect, but having
A start.
glass where people are, I mean, not everywhere, but like you said, you walk in. Their faces are right there when you're walking up to that area, so that's, I guess, all I'm proposing.
But here we're looking at $500,000 again by the time the.
You're gonna need to replace all the glass doors, right, because you can have you can walk get through that glass door and get in an office now. They're very pretty doors, right? You start putting metal doors and changing the whole look at the courthouse, I agree, it is, where do you start and where do you stop? That's the question.
On a building that, we're already, what, 5.5 million on the heating and
Right.
cooling.
Mr. Chairman, I think what Amy is saying though is a start would be for the glass in there. I don't know. We still can't have, you know, people unsecure, even if we're thinking about something we were changing, that's 2 years away, at least.
That's the least is too.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is money that we got. And it's sitting in here now for 2 years, everything's going up, the 170,000 for replacing glass in the auditor and treasurer and recorder lobby. Is 200,000, I'm sure now,
Oh, yeah.
so I mean, that is a big jump, though, you know, to add all that. But at least if they're behind bulletproof glass, I would feel more secure. I mean, I'm not one who worries about security, but I do lock my doors. But if I worked here, I would think about it.
This money has to be.
Or maybe
spent by
have something in my
24, or
purse.
appropriated by 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why don't we get another quote on it? I guess I'm not against it, to just,
Yeah.
and like you said, Karen, it was Karen, it's sad, it's the timing that, you know, what are we gonna do with this building?
I
We're
know,
gonna spend 170,000 and then something else is in, but yet I get the point of security and safety of our people. And that's,
Are we talking then just like on the direct opposite, nothing else,
Yeah.
not
Right.
all the doors in the building, you're just talking like the
Right.
treasurers, the
Yeah.
auditors and the
Yeah,
recorder's
they're-
office.
And I would say that, if I could say, the two doors, the recorder's door and the auditor's door that are glass. They could be similar, like a heavy wood door like they did upstairs in the Crooked Courts. With a touch button, not a key fob.
Just so.
you mean to get into your office?
Correct, because this
Oh,
is a big glass
or like-
window, you can run through that.
Oh, there, oh, yeah,
Right
yeah,
here, right in the hallway.
yeah,
So it would be the windows in the lobby.
Yeah,
and
this
the
one.
offices,
And just-
and 2 entry doors
yeah.
to start.
Mhm.
when do we get,
Jason.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that first plan was for this floor. What about Tammy?
what about who?
Tammy, cause there's not, you walk in that door, you're on the counter, there's no glass, there's no partition.
Well, yeah, let's
nothing.
include her, let's include that
Pretty
too.
good.
Let's include something there that would be.
Get some quotes on it, and see
Yeah.
what we're at.
It's, yeah.
You're gonna have to.
Something.
Have to, and then put another door on.
The lobby and another.
Mr. Chairman, I mean, I know we're talking about this building and how much it is, but you know, like that. Just redid the courthouse.
Yep.
Benches and we did, I mean, I just think to just abandon it and move forward, it is years, it's just gonna be time away unless it give. I just don't see us not having to keep investing in what we have.
When you look at this wish list, I'd rather give money to our safety of our people than go
Yes.
look down here and see water district and water
Yes.
infrastructure. I'd rather spend it here, and I always said that, to update our buildings and everything else, and I think that's a better answer is upgrading this. So why don't we just get some quotes on it?
We're kind of getting quotes for it, but for use for in the courtroom, and getting all the benches.
Move on.
They're probably later.
Probably.
You can actually move those to the new building to reduce some of your costs.
This would be the thought, yeah.
Yeah.
The glass, the windows, the doors
Right.
that you put in here, most likely you aren't going to
No.
find a time frame to move those.
Yeah.
So
No.
it's, but put that,
Yeah.
that cost,
Mhm.
you can move.
But we, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, we can't use any of this money to do anything with.
I don't know. I thought
We can use it
Well-
for anything.
Well, it's gotta be done in a year, it's gotta be used.
By 20
it would be appropriated. And if we're.
Yeah,
if we
we
make the
Oh,
move,
I didn't know that.
appropriate the money.
You can be appropriate for architects, is- I understand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Chairman, I think we need to look at the big picture here, we've got a big problem with this courthouse. And we've got quite a bit of money sitting
All
here.
right. Jason, get some bids and we'll move forward to that part.
I'll find the paperwork and familiarize myself with it and see if I can use it.
Okay,
With the heating, the cooling and, or,
Well, the heating and cooling, if to go, for that, I need to need to move forward with. Either I need to put out an RFP to hire an engineering firm and have them redo the work that Johnson Controls has already done for free. Or we go into a contract with Johnson Controls to move forward the actual design process, so we can bid it out and get real price. Other than their $5.5 million guess.
And that 5.5 million included a lot more than we were probably ready to do. You know, we have to look at, to me, we have to look at our main issues, which is the boiler, correct? Or-
The boiler has issues, the cooling system is.
Or the cooling system.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
right
is that
now,
what we
there's no
focus on?
cooling system.
The piping and everything in the walls and stuff.
The piping in the walls is corroded, we have issues with it, I got pieces that are, the pipe is a quarter full of corrosion and rust and things that have built up in the lifetime that they've been in the wall. Right now, the air handling system in the building isn't operational, we had a bearing go out, we're lucky to find a bearing for it. They're supposed to be here today at some point to install 2 new bearings, so we can turn the air handling facility. They're doing it now, okay. So they got here this morning, so they're upstairs working on that now, so hopefully we can put the air back on, at least get air movement. We haven't turned on the air conditioning yet, because once we do, it's either on and I freeze everybody out, or it's off, and so there's no real controls to it.
I mean, that's not even on our wish list, correct?
Just something that's come up in a while.
Right, I think it needs to get added, probably.
Maybe what we should do too is, there's a lot of these that are pending or whatever, get some of this cleared up so we know if they're paid or not. Like look at auditor, digital preservation in progress, not paid.
That will be paid, correct?
It will be paid. They've done the work, they're just fine tuning it for you.
So is that 11,000 out of the 1.6 or is it above the 1.6? That's my question.
You mean
The
the
16
16th?
So, well, right here on the front page, door locking system paid 11.5.
Oh, there.
So Chris has a really nice breakdown of the money in and money out.
Is that the recent one?
It's dated the last dates,
Okay.
and it coincides with this wish
Okay.
list as far as dates go that I can tell.
Okay. So like, look at 2, in progress, not paid, so the annual fee is 16,950. Apparently that still has to come out of the 1.6 million.
That'd be correct.
Okay, I just wanted it straight because there's a lot of numbers here that,
Mr. Chairman, I mean, I think that what Christie says too, as far as the heat, the cooling and, you know, looking at this building, when we talk about security and then we talk about how this building was made to almost be pretty and not secure. Well, it might have to come to that part too, when it comes to the cooling system. You know, if we end up having to have the outside venting to be able to make this building functional, if structurally we can get by with that. I think that the vision of putting everything out to a new jail is a grand one, but if we need to add this to our wish list, at least to get the heating and cooling or the cooling part of it moving. Cause that's another thing for our employees and staff here, right? Like I wouldn't wanna work somewhere I'm either freezing to death or sweating, so.
It's a basic need we need to provide
Yep,
to our staff.
yep.
and when we started this, we all agreed that it was like our buildings and get the infrastructure and everything up. You know, we did the shop, put a roof on it and stuff, so I totally agree, you know, we gotta take care of our buildings. If we don't, guess what? We spend the money somewhere else and another year it's gonna come back and haunt us.
And architectures and engineers tend to do a pretty good job these days, so, I mean, yes, it's not ideal to make this building, but we can't use things in the wall, we can't hide, so it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't look up and go, oh, you know, look at the vent. If it feels good in the building and it overall looks, I still think they could do a good job with it. I just hate to see us move on from a space that I think we could make functional again, but we just have to do it, you know, make the decision and go for it.
Well, you're relying on the public too, if we put it to a vote and everything else, are they gonna, and there are gonna be naysayers out there that say, you don't need a new building, that courthouse is great, we want it to stay.
And we need to focus on the jail.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
at this
it's
point-
gonna be a tough call, but the people are gonna decide.
How do you wanna handle this wish list? Go through line by line or?
Well, I have to make more, whatever, I say we add the cooling and, you know, the building stuff, whether Jason comes up with some numbers or we get something on here so that that's there,
Like
the building stuff.
the heating, well, we've already got 5.5 million.
Yeah, that's the best guess, but the only thing.
Yeah, that's a guess, so.
So we could move forward with having them start together, putting together construction plans and the final designs and fine tuning everything. Then they could always put it up for a bid where you get the real numbers and you don't have to accept them. You can always just,
But the way excuse me, Mr. Chairman, the way I understood it, the 5.5 million included a lot more than just cooling and heating, right?
cooling, healing and the ADA.
And what?
Oh, the ADA,
The
the
bathroom.
bathrooms and, so the
But-
cooling and heating is still gonna be the biggest portion.
That's the biggest.
Biggest portion.
There's only one company that'll bid it.
No, once Johnson Controls were to go and do what they've already done, they put out a bid, you'll end up with one set, custom air, Ellingson plumbing and heating, probably a scope project this size, you're gonna get a bunch. And it won't be one
So the
company.
contract all the way out.
Yeah,
I say, let's do that.
So I have a question about funding. So obviously, we don't have 5.5 million in the ARPA or CARES funds. But I sent you an email, we got a phone call from someone at the state that was working with you and Chris for funding
mhm,
and a new program for the jail
for Ann, yeah,
from Ann.
yeah.
So I don't know if you've shared that with the commissioners yet or where you're at, or you, maybe that's coming up at your committee meeting. But could we double dip and could we work with that program for the jail and the courthouse? Maybe we could reach out to her and ask
That's what I
that.
have to find out.
I mean, that just popped in my head right now.
No, it's a limited pool of funding, it's up to $20 million through the legislature, the way it sounds, where we could get funding for it towards jail program from the hand.
From what?
Jail program, it's a
It's a new
capital
construction.
infrastructure, there's about 120 million in there, and they said we can get up to 20.
But we have to be approved.
2%.
It's a 2%
2%,
loan.
Alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And-
2%.
But we're not guaranteed of being approved.
No,
No,
you have to
you have to
apply for it
apply.
first.
And as far as the jail goes, if you have other people that are gonna contract with you and help you build it, they can get some money as well
Right.
and have their own. But I was just curious if they were looking at the courthouse.
Mhm.
Well, moving forward. We open this up for bids then on the heating and cooling on the. Get a hard number on that.
Yeah, I can work with Johnson Controls to put together the final constructions. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion for Jason to go ahead and do that, so we do it then.
Mr. Chairman, will that be a cost with that, Jason, to do that step?
Find out,
Okay,
could be, sometimes they have costs, sometimes they go to the construction. If we go to the bidding or where they go off of a portion of the actual construction with it, like most architects and engineers do, and we don't go to the actual awarding of the contract, then we may have to do something on it. So I will work with John and then try and get some information for the next commission meeting on that. Maybe even bring them back in for discussion.
I'll second Karen's.
Okay, a motion and a second, any further discussion? Any further discussion? Now we'll call for the vote, Christie?
Yeah.
Mary?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. This is just for a.
Just for construction plans.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, what else you wanna deal with on the?
So, Mr. Chairman, the comment I have is, we need to pay for our new software. I believe that,
What's that?
that we will need to pay for the remainder of our new software, the Tyler software. So I believe that should definitely come out of these funds, you know, it's I don't wanna say one-time fee, but the bulk of it's a one-time fee, there's gonna be maintenance, there's gonna be annual fees, that type of thing, but I believe the bulk of it should come out of these funds. I don't know when that bill is going to be coming, do you have any idea, Sandra, when that is?
My best guess would be October, November, and I say that because we go live in June with the general ledger and payroll, and we go live in October with the tax portion. So I would say sooner after, we should probably bill for most of it.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we paid for the Tyler software cost out of the ARPA funds.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Now we'll call it go, Karen,
Yes,
Amy,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes,
Christie,
Yeah,
myself, yes.
Then can I just ask, so with, at this stage with this glass, are we at a point where we're asking Jason to look into that? Is that kind of where we ended that one?
Yep.
Okay, to bring costs.
so under completed items. There's some big bills there. Are those all paid or, I guess I don't think the boiler is, but would you look at the siren radio upgrade, 250,000, isn't that paid?
paid by County General.
Huh?
That's a Brent question.
Well, I thought we, yeah,
It was paid by County General and then the emergency manager, he was going to.
oh, there, I did, okay.
Yeah, so that's.
He's
done.
supposed to.
So that's all
They'll
done.
pay us back.
Okay.
To the County General.
You wanna do anything over in the Chase building?
No,
No, fine with me.
can I just, Mr. Chairman, ask a question? Why not yet? I'm just wondering,
What's that?
why not yet?
You're not doing anything there?
Yeah,
The Chase building?
yeah,
Well,
just wondering.
we've got that lease. Right, trying to figure out if that's our bill or if it's state's bill, direct or indirect cost.
Well, if it's an indirect cost, we pay for it, and I'm sure that's what it is.
Well, that's
Yeah.
up for discussion on that lease. No,
Yep.
my comment, and I would say my concern is because Red River Regional Council may be vacating soon. Most of the employees, from what I understand over there, are working from home, teleworking. So I guess I don't see it as a priority right now.
Yep,
It's not that I
that's
don't
fine.
want to pay it, but I
Yep.
feel like these other areas are more of a priority
Yep.
than putting money into the Chase
Mhm.
building. Because how many people are gonna be actually working
Yeah.
out of the Chase building?
Well, that's something
That's what
that
I'm
probably
concerned
should be talked about at that point too,
Right.
because people should be there. But I can almost guarantee you that's an indirect cost. State will not be paying for it. That's our building. They won't pay for
It is. I confirmed it. I looked it up.
it. Yeah, so. But yeah, I understand to wait. I was just curious.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
What else,
Anything on the flood matches? They were in there, I don't remember.
Where are you seeing that?
First page, highway department, match money for flood events not paid. Where are we at with that? I don't remember.
Couldn't that, simple fund, couldn't that come out of some of this other money that's flowed down through
There's some that's
prairie
there.
dog fund? Can it come out of there or, I mean, you got 4 million in there, right?
Well,
No,
I don't have 4 million now, because we got the paving project from Edinburgh to Hoopla, number 9, the chip and seal from Forest River to interstate. Those all come out of it, and the 239,000 from for the culverts for the water board. So when we get done with those, I'd rather wait until we get the construction done, and see if we have any overages to know where we're at.
Just leave them for now then, okay.
And then just where we're sitting, other projects and the culvert issues that are showing up. We have some House Bill 1505 money, but this, we also have to worry about the extra cost here. We have to pick up on these 3 bridges that are bidding out in June too, so I don't know how much extra we really have. I'll know better in July.
can we table it till July then? Yeah, I mean, cause I show that you got like about 2 million in that 1505, I get that that's probably spoken for,
Ron, you've got radios on there?
My radios. Other
That
than
was
maybe
paid for.
those last two portables. Are all,
It's completed.
yeah,
It's
I think those last two portables are the only thing remaining for radio.
Then under the, one of the first one, and we have quite a few health district things on here as far as requests, but the it's under priorities as number one. The admin building is,
Deciding and stuff.
and carpeting in the hall. I don't know, if anyone has any
Yeah, I
change
was-
with that?
Putting is reviewing the specs, so I can get that out, get the carpeting done and then, so.
Okay,
I've been in there with Nikki, we're looking at getting that carpeting done,
that is a tough shape, isn't it?
not our worst, but. It's not.
What's our worst?
Depends on where you are, probably the top floor Chase building. and stuff.
Yeah, but We're good, that's,
Right,
I mean, we're not planning on moving anybody there, right?
no, but it is. I have to find some time to go, I did a Parks and Recreation, go through every building and find the efficiency list.
Did we ever get that?
When I was at Parks and Recreation, every 2 years, we went through every building. And basically came through with a deficiency list of everything needs to be fixed. At some point, I need to find that time to go through our buildings and
Well,
pick them apart. So we get them on a schedule, so we can be more proactive than reactive on repairs.
Has any of that siding been fixed there?
No, there's a piece of down on it again right now, so. I'm gonna talk with, Chris was working on that, I thought, Holland was going to take care of it, so I will reach out and find out where I'm at.
yeah,
That was one of the
he's
things that
going to,
Chris was supposed to finish up before.
They're also busy, it's good luck getting some of these guys, and a lot of them don't wanna do the small stuff.
Well, I can't even get people to, until recently, we couldn't get anyone to give us a price for redoing the shop, a simple shop roof at shop 3 because the shingles from last year when they blew up, they didn't fix. And I just got a price from the dad to do the install and we bought the material. So I gotta take a look at that.
I thought that we had asked Holland already to do that job.
He's so busy and backed up to
Well-
right.
Backed up to win, I mean, then tell us that you can't do it for 2 years, we're gonna look for somebody else.
That's the way the carpenter, you talk to anybody now, that's the way everybody does. I'll be there tomorrow, but yet they're never there. It's a tough world up there right now, and a lot of them don't wanna do the small things.
I think we can find some other names then, because
Sharon, I've been looking
who
for, I contacted 5 guys and all of them are gonna get back to me. One guy did.
have you contacted Mike Princeton?
I got the guy that did it, but yeah. They're also busy and everything, but and they don't wanna say no, that's the
He's
problem.
one that have done little jobs, and he'll say, I can come and work when it rains or whatever, and he's gotten all my jobs done, and he comes when he says, or he calls.
What's his name?
Never mind, number, he's got one job.
Christie. I got it.
Okay. No, I couldn't get it.
What else you wanna move on with this?
But I'm just saying,
Very much really left, is there?
I have a question on the priorities to start. I think we need to focus on those, like I said. Number 3, repair leaking roof at Fair Building. Wasn't it my understanding that that was gonna be taken care of between,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it
Investment.
has.
so that should be
Yeah.
removed off of our
Yeah,
list,
I
right?
think North Star is doing it yearly to keep it going.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can take that off.
Yeah.
Okay, and then number 5, the emergency manager, the siren radios. I mean, how long are we waiting for this bill? I wonder?
I will check on that. I thought that Ron and Brent both got their radios. I know we paid for yours. And, right,
I still waiting for the bill for those two portables.
the 2 portables,
Yeah,
okay.
but
So I'll follow up on
You
that.
follow up
I
with Brent?
apologize, I didn't have.
No,
time
that's
to
fine.
do it Today.
That's fine. Maybe if you just ask him.
And just to clarify in the admin building, with the new jail, we've talked about, it's just the jail that would be potentially torn down,
yes,
not the admin, I mean, that will
right,
Okay.
they're two separate.
put the money in this.
Buildings, then, or whatever you wanna call them.
Okay, public health, yeah.
There'll be some electrical type of things that we need to address when the building comes down, make sure it's quiet and things, but.
Moving, yeah.
Phones, stuff, and it's-
Phones and, yeah, signal alarms and such.
Well, I think with our top items on priorities to start and the one we're going to add, our money spent. And then some.
I agree. Yeah, we're gonna.
Well, wait till those bids come in then.
But that's that one.
Surprising how fast it comes in, so we'll go fast, isn't it?
Your glass of water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we addressed.
I think the other thing that we're gonna have to eventually look at is our money that we put towards mental health is going to be running out before long.
2 years left on that.
Is it two?
Was it 3 years?
It was a 3 years. I feel like we only have 1 year left. Maybe,
Just one.
I think it's just one left, so, you know, that's gonna be facing us again.
But
What is that?
we might be able to be getting something from the state
I
there.
was gonna say, didn't the state pass some
Yep.
legislation
Yep,
through DHS?
Did they?
yeah, yeah,
And they're actually.
but don't ask me exactly what now.
Keep up on that.
Yeah,
All right, so moving on, or are we done with that for now?
I guess the only thing that I see in there that I brought up one time is helping the historical society in their buildings, and I guess if you guys wanna take that out or do something. That work call, it's in that one, which paper, historical society, remember they were in here and asked for, cause the buildings and everything, the upgrade, and they don't have enough, and I brought it up one time if we could have a little extra.
they're
so that
getting
way-
more money from the state too.
Well, I think so, and that's why I'm bringing it up, let's take it off there,
I
then.
think let's take it off.
Yeah.
I agree.
And that's why I brought it up, no sense having it there if they're getting different funding.
Oh, yeah.
Let's move on to the lease agreement then with the Chase building.
Where is that, Kevin? Oh, there.
Jason, do you wanna review it or?
I didn't know that was on the agenda.
It's the only part that was in question was janitorial.
We have,
Pretty clear.
I'm not sure what this whole thing is.
I haven't seen it, haven't gone over and talked, if there's any outdated things from this. The new ones, I haven't just read through on it right now,
I think it's stuff.
but by looking at these. It kind of talks about what is paid and what isn't paid. Janitorial services, according to this one, is. Including general cleaning is the responsibility of the leasing, and any building repairs would be ours. Ground maintenance would be. Our native stuff, but.
No.
I have an extra paper copy if you guys want to share.
Like I said, I had one, but I think I.
No, it's just an old lease agreement.
Yeah, okay.
You wrote that out, page, or not.
And this lease was from 2015, 2016, so I don't know if there's, who's been in charge of the leases. Were there or updating them, getting. If they were done on it. I don't know any of that stuff.
So essentially, speaking, Mr. Chairman. So essentially, we have been cleaning their building, we have been paying for the cleaning of their building, and they were supposed to be responsible.
But it's what I get from this.
Mr. Chairman, so when was the last time a lease was signed here? Because this is just what's on. There's nothing of when the last time anything was signed.
I'm not sure.
I would think
I don't even know where to look.
2003 is.
building lease and agreement, what?
Okay, where's
Just
that?
kidding.
If you know where that one is, I would love to see it.
Start one.
So this lease addresses Red River Regional Council, that's what we're discussing.
Yeah, I'm not exactly.
I mean, that's the copy that I found that you had,
Mhm. Yes,
and that's in the body of it, this addresses the Red River Regional Council.
right.
So there's another entity that rents on the bottom floor.
Yeah, Upper Valley.
Upper Valley, so do they have a lease? But upstairs, that's all us, that's all indirect costs.
Is Upper Valley,
Yeah.
is Upper Valley at least through us, or did they suddenly somehow through the regional council? I
I
don't
can't
know.
answer that.
I don't know. I can,
Well, what, was it the last time, remember I asked the question is, the regional council is subleasing our building? That was the Upper Valley, wasn't it? Cause I remember I said, well, how do they sublease our building?
Yeah,
I brought that up, I don't know how many meetings ago, and that was my question, and. Yeah, I don't know, apparently they're doing it, but we're not aware of it, or we didn't, or whatever, doesn't really matter, but we shouldn't be doing all this if it's.
Administrator.
Don't go there.
I think we need to table this and do more research.
I do.
Yeah, I do too.
Yep,
Get a new lease.
Upper
Well,
Valley
sorry,
Rents.
Well, we should have our current lease, we should have a current signed lease, so we actually know.
Hopefully there's under.
Mr. Chairman, Upper Valley Rents from Red River Regional Council.
What is it?
It's what I just,
Yeah. And my question at
from
the time,
people watching.
and my question at the time is, who gave Red River authority to rent out our building?
Something in there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know, that's why I asked him. Most of the time when you got a lease, it's in there that you don't rent out to somebody else. But I don't know what's in our lease or whatever. And I'm not against doing it, it just,
Who's responsible for checking into this?
Yes, I am.
Well, I think it is, I'm sure Chris did it before, or Sharon, I'm almost positive. Does that sound familiar? Well,
What's that?
Ernie, you would know.
I'm
I
sure,
think
I'm
she-
Sharon took care of it,
Yeah, I think pretty sure Sharon,
because it was under building.
yeah,
He asked me about it, I said, just bring it here, I said, I'm
yeah.
one of those, we're not really on top of it, it's not our job as commissioners,
But
but
I
it fell
see
through the cracks
a
apparently.
little more.
Yeah, and I'll see it, I'll go put it on my list.
All right, we'll move on to unfinished business.
Oh, what are you?
You wanna go to auditor payout?
Okay.
I mean, I saw it 2 minutes before I came into the meeting, but if you want to, go ahead.
Okay, well, so, I received a phone call this morning, Auditor Chris Mulvey, had emailed all of you last night her vacation sheet. When she started 2023, she had carried over, 325 hours of annual leave from 2022, okay? We're allowed to bring over 200 every year. When there's excess, you guys give approval to use it. She had an extended deadline due to circumstances in her office. We would short staff the whole first part of the year. And she was still unable to use her time by the second deadline that the commission had approved. And now, this month I will pay out her vacation leave. And she is asking if you guys would honor a request by her to pay her out those 32 hours that she would technically lose because she was unable to use it by that second deadline. So if you look at her sheet right now, you can see in April, the earned, and then that used is the 32 that she had to mark off as lost time. So if you leave it alone, we would be paying out 264 hours to her. And then it's your decision if you wanna add back the 32 that she's considering lost.
Which was comp time, correct?
No,
No,
this is
it
actually
was at all.
It's
It
actually
was
annual
actually-
leave approved.
Okay.
Yeah, comp time is completely separate.
Okay, so she didn't have any comp time then,
They're not allowed to earn it, right?
that's right, yeah. That's right.
So to follow you, if we pay her the 32, does it stay 264 or does it go to?
It would go up to,
296.
it would go up to 296
Okay.
if you pay the 32.
Okay.
Seems to me we did this in the past. If I remember right.
Before my time,
Mr.
What's that?
Chairman,
that was before my time, I don't remember that.
Yeah, we did her.
under the circumstances and what took place here, I make a motion to pay her the extra or the lost 32 hours to add up to 296 hours.
like I stated before, I'm just about sure
We did it before for once, cause it
because.
election year and then we're people in and out, and, yeah, so I remember doing it.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Well, I'd just like to clarify now, I know what you're talking about. Yes, we have allowed them to carry over annual leave before, but they are required to use it by a certain date.
Yeah.
That carryover. So that's what's going on here is she didn't get it used by the date.
Because of what took place here.
I mean, you mean with the changeover? and
Yes,
stuff, And new software training and that type of thing, yeah. I guess my discussion would be, is I don't have a problem paying it out, I do think we need to be more careful about allowing a carryover of annual leave, because all you are doing is
Yeah.
creating a bigger problem.
Yeah.
So
From this time forward.
from this time
Yep.
forward, I think we need to be careful of that and just ensure that, employees need to take the time off. I agree,
Yeah.
so. Carrying it over just, then we have a bigger problem, so.
Yeah,
It compounds.
yeah, I know,
Mhm.
but there's other, all right.
Oh, we got a circumstance.
Yeah, any other discussion, further discussion? I'll call for vote, Christie.
Yeah,
Ernst,
Yes,
Amy,
Yes.
Karen?
Yeah.
Myself, yes, motion carried. Finished business, where we at?
in the courthouse. You're in the courthouse.
July meetings, yeah, I had July meetings.
Yeah.
Sorry. It does not matter to me what the commission, I brought this up to you guys before on July, but we are, scheduled to meet first and third, right? So that first is the 4th of July. I will actually be on a church conference that week, and then the third I'll be on family vacation. So I just was proposing, if it's possible, to move it to the 2nd and 4th that month, but I can be here, phone, if we need to keep it. I just didn't know if, are we gonna meet on the 4th of July or?
It's a holiday.
Right, so, or just if we could declare, what we're doing, because then I'll make sure I make plans.
Years past, we've always moved it after the 4th or something,
Yeah. to the
and I'm not saying we have to do it the 5th, but we've always moved it back a day or two. 4th is on our meeting time.
or ahead. but-
Yeah,
but they're-
yeah. It doesn't matter to me.
I'm not opposed to moving, but it just happens this year, I'm gone the 2nd and 4th week.
And like,
I think we just keep the weeks the same. If you guys got personal vacation, whatever,
Yes.
we've done that before. Otherwise, you
Yeah.
play
yeah,
with the public and everything else, let's just move it around and.
I have called in when I've been.
yeah,
gone.
and I'll just plan to do
Yeah.
that.
So like on the 4th, I would say move it after the 4th, because most
Yes.
people are gonna be gone over the weekend, have relatives. So, and that's what we've always done, we moved it like 5th or 6th, and I don't care, 5th or 6th, whatever you guys want.
7?
No, 6
The weekend, you're getting to everybody,
No, everybody's there.
late time and everything else, so I would say either that.
Let's do it the 5th, whoever can make it.
Well, they are,
make it,
if you want to go to the late,
Call in, I mean,
everybody's good with the 5th?
or should we make it the 11th and the 18th? I mean, I
You
don't.
don't want
I'm
to
just
hold it like that.
suggesting.
You're gonna be gone, that.
Yeah.
Christie,
Yeah,
right?
Christie,
Yeah,
done.
that's fine.
Well,
It just, happens that I'm gone the week of July 10th and the 20th.
oh, I see.
Yeah, I picked the opposite weeks this time.
Well, you guys can be gone, so.
5th, all right?
Let's keep it the 5th and the regular one on the 18th, and if you guys are gone, you're gone.
Wow.
5th, good? We don't need a motion for that.
No.
And we'd be starting budgets then, right? July?
We should,
Yeah.
Should be starting, yeah.
We'll throw our new auditor into it right away.
Yeah, we can't wait till. We need to start having meetings. And maybe-
Well, it might take longer too. this time.
Well, our department has needs to get their stuff in. That's what we
And
wait for.
Sandra's prepared, we've already talked about that.
Yep, you're good about sending out.
But in the same respect, Karen, we need the department heads getting back to us, how many have we had to beg and,
That's what I mean.
oh, okay, I thought you meant we get it to them.
No, that's what I mean. I'm like, you guys, this is, or we're gonna do it without you.
Yeah, we've threatened a couple that way, but we shouldn't have to.
No,
Start it early and give them a deadline.
yes. A lot of counties are almost done in July with their budgets.
Boy,
Well,
They must
There
not,
be budgets.
then they must not have FEMA and everything else bothering them.
No, I'm talking about the big
All right,
companies.
anything else? We'll move the meeting on July the fifth,
Yeah, because we.
anything else to bring before the commission?
I don't know if you guys got it, there's water tours coming up, everybody, I think usually gets the thing, I got a pamphlet on it. That you could go like Devil's Lake has one, Fargo has one,
I would really like to go to that Fargo, see that.
I've been thinking about it, and I left it at home for some reason, but I got a little pamphlet in the mail. And I thought most of the commissioners got them, but.
I've
it's not-
been to them, so I
Did you?
mean, I can't. I've
No,
done
but
so
did you
many-
get the pamphlet?
Yes,
Okay,
Yes.
and that's what I'm saying, maybe
every
somebody,
commissioner should have gotten.
that's why I brought it up, and I think I
You
still.
probably just threw it away. It was like a thing like this.
No, I looked at it,
Rolled
'cause there's a
over.
Devil's
No, I
Lake,
know you
yeah.
would, yeah.
Devil's Lake, and I think there's a Cheyenne, there's a Fargo,
Mhm.
so. Most of it was June, or I think if you went to the state water board, the website, you could get it.
Yeah.
And I just brought it up with somebody, they are interesting tours, I went to the Devil's Lake one, I went to the Fargo one when they were talking about buying out and all that stuff. So, yeah,
Is that weekday group still?
yeah, they were, the legislature looking for money too, I haven't heard much.
Yes, they got money
From North Dakota?
to match
Minnesota?
Minnesota's
That was like $1 million,
and
wasn't
they will be, well, it's more than that.
Yeah,
And then they got so much to use for a certain time, and then it's gonna be studied too, so.
so those
No,
guys,
we did really good for them, really good.
those guys were also at that,
I'm hoping to be on that study if I can.
they were all represented at that meeting in Mitchell when they're talking about those overpasses in the highway.
Yeah.
BTAG was all there and stuff, cause that's. sort of-
DOT is being really good about
Well, I hope they give
working
us some money.
together. Yeah. Well, it all depends on Minnesota now too again. because-
Are we adjourned then? Anything else, Brent?
Oh, we have to.
If not, we'll adjourn.
Okay.